Over the years, the term chairman, viewed as too masculine, changed to chairperson, viewed as too lengthy, and finally to chair. The last term initially pleased few faculty. At first, grammatical purists satirized the new practice of calling a human being a chair. Campuses would be the scene of conversations such as this one. The chair is supporting the proposal for a senior seminar. Oh, the chair is? Well, how about the typewriter? Or the lamp? Where do they stand on the question of a senior seminar? William and Mary changed from headships to department chairs in the 1970s. But the new system created new problems. Across the nation, professors increasingly proved unwilling to take on the hassles and conflicts of administering a department without also retaining some of the former power and prestige of the headships. Schools found that even their largest departments contained only 2 or 3 faculty willing to serve as chair. And usually, at least, some of those professors were precisely the ones whom colleagues preferred not to serve as chair. At William and Mary, one of the science departments particularly fell into that category. Its newly elected chair held degrees from prestigious British universities. Among his colleagues, he was known for diligence, personal integrity, and honesty of expression, but also for rigidity, obstinacy, and rudeness. In daily affairs, he acted as if his colleagues were not quite pulling their weight. When he was elected chair, he barely received a majority vote from his department. Nevertheless, his colleagues were grateful that he had made himself available, for no one else had. The new chair was in his first year of office when a department member returned to her office late one afternoon. Taped to the office door, she found a white envelope. Inside the envelope was a handwritten note from the chair, stating that a student had come into his office that afternoon and registered a series of strong complaints against her. The student claimed that the professor did not know her subject, that she often canceled class, that when she did not cancel, she arrived late, and that when class did meet, she was rarely prepared. The chair's note directed the professor to address these problems immediately, and required her to come in the next morning for a very serious conversation. If you spend more time interacting with students, the note concluded, I would not have to spend my time dealing with their complaints about you. The professor's stomach sank. In a decade of teaching, she had never been the subject of a complaint. In fact, she almost always over-prepared for class, and she was popular with her students. Then it hit her. She looked again at the name of the course on the chair's note and at the name of the complaining student. She had never taught that course. It was entirely out of her field. She had never taught that student. She did not even know the student. In fact, another woman, a visiting professor, was teaching that particular course. It was after 5 o'clock, and lights were off in all offices, except that of the chair at the other end of the hall. Within 10 seconds, the professor was running full speed down the hall to the chair's office. She knocked, but burst through the door without waiting for an invitation. Shocked, the chair froze behind his typewriter. Waving the note, the professor shouted, I do not teach this course. I never have. I've never taught this student. I do not even know this student. The professor continued, almost in a tirade. You want to know why you have so much trouble with your colleagues? You want to know why your enrollment is so low? It's because you shoot from the hip without thinking. That's the way you operate. That's you. I do not owe that student an apology. You owe me an apology. She stormed out of the office and went home and simmered for the rest of the evening. The next day, the professor found a handwritten apology from the chair in her department mailbox. Following similar confrontations with other faculty, the chair, who otherwise had genuine administrative ability, decided that one term in office was enough. Afterward, he and the professor returned to their original relationship, somewhat distant, but still courteous. But some years after the incident, she confided to a colleague that she suspected that the former chair remained skeptical of her innocence.